Shalom, everybody. Welcome to this week's journey through Torah. This week is Parsha Ha'azinu. We're getting closer to rounding out the end of the Torah. We have Ha'azinu, then we have Azot HaBracha. This is the blessing. Then we go back to the beginning. So we're almost completely through a Torah cycle. So as we're approaching the end of this, what are some of the things we need to be keeping in mind? Well, one of this is one of the last things that was commanded to us from Yahweh is to write a song. Write a song, and this song is the words of Yahweh. Essentially, what we find is that the Torah, in many different commentaries, many different midrashes, is expressed as a song. So, does it make sense that a melody is something that's given to us to help remind us and put it down in us, and we remember it from time to time and remember it forever? How many of you remember melodies of songs from when you were a child? How many of you can't say your ABCs without singing it? So that's kind of the idea. Okay, the Torah gives us Parsha Ha'azinu because it is a song that is to be written, and the idea of the song is to stand as witnesses either for us or against us, and depending on how the song reacts towards us, and the witness is called upon it to do so, is on our heart and our condition towards it. But the idea for a song, why a song instead of just words? If you just give a speech, just give words. Sometimes even just reading a poem or poetry, there's a little more to it than that. So, but if we're just saying things, it's not so memorable. Now, if you some like poetry where it kind of has a rhythm to it, kind of has a little function to it, it's got a flow, it's a little more memorable, right? But then when you have a song with a melody, even if sometimes we can't remember the words, we remember the melody. Right? And we're like, oh, how did that go again? And you kind of like whistling it or humming it, trying to remember the words. Eventually you do. Okay, eventually you will. Maybe not all the time, but eventually you will. And that's kind of the idea. That if you have this melody that is within you, it's harder to forget. There's something about a song that bypasses our brains even, and is just kind of there. It goes into the very depths of you. Creation itself is a symphony. Everything that was created cries out and sings to Yahweh. Everything declares his goodness. Everything that is done will praise Yahweh. Okay? So we're just a part of that. Matter of fact, we are instructed as well that we sing when we come together for Yahweh. I mean, even in the tabernacle, in the temple, especially in the temple, they would come together, and as the people were bringing the offerings of Levi'im, they would play on instruments and they would sing. They would sing many of the Tehillim, many of the Psalms. And so again, this is the idea of worship and all this going on at the same time, and people would sing and get it out there. And you know, it's kind of hard to sing a happy tune and feel miserable. You know, you ever notice like what you're singing can also affect your mood? You know? So it's like you're kind of starting to feel a little down, and you start singing a happy song and you start feeling a little better, right? And then how many of you, like, we start to feel better and then we start to catch ourselves. Oh no, I'm starting to feel better. I better be more resentful. You know, no, we don't go there, do we? No, we don't do that. We need to continue to sing and rejoice before Yahweh. And it's that it lifts us up. Okay. It kind of changes something within us. Thing is this, we have times where a song can help us express what we're feeling when we don't have the words to speak. Sometimes a song helps with that. A song can be an expression of our whole being, the entirety of who we are. A song can either be birthed from deep within us, or can be a song to help us make a connection between our heart and our head, so to speak. You know, can make a connection between what we feel and what we know. Or sometimes I feel it, but I can't express it. But maybe there's a song that helps express how we're feeling. Maybe we don't have the words, but maybe someone else has provided words in a song that really help us out. And this is something to help us. Okay, this is what it's given for. We need to sing and worship and be joyful when we gather together, and when we're not as well, but especially when we gather together. Look at Colossians 3:12-17. Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourselves with feelings of compassion, with kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Bear with one another. If anyone has a complaint against someone else, forgive him. Indeed, just as the Lord has forgiven you, so you must forgive. Above all these, clothe yourselves with love, which binds everything together perfectly, and let the shalom which comes from the Messiah be your heart's decision maker. For this is why you were called to be a part of a single body and be thankful. Verse 16. Let the word of the Messiah in all its richness live in you as you teach and counsel each other in all wisdom, and as you sing psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs with gratitude to God in your hearts. That is, everything you do or say, do in the name of the Lord Yeshua, giving thanks through him to God the Father. See that? So there's something about their songs, hymns, and spiritual songs. It's not just one kind of song, nor is it just one genre, okay? It's something, it's the expression of our heart to Yahweh. And each person's different, and we're all individuals. We all have that within us. Every person has their own song, and every person has their own expression to Yahweh. Just sing it out to him, okay? But when we all come together, we need to be kind of like that symphony that works together to make this joyful sound before Yahweh together, okay? But specifically in Haazinu, Parsha Ha'azinu, in Deuteronomy 32, we have the Song of Moses. Now, many attribute the Song of Moses to be the song at the sea that we see in Exodus 15. I can see that and not see that at the same time. I mean, Moses did sing the song, okay? Obviously, he wrote it down, but he didn't. It was written after the fact, okay? It broke out in spontaneous song, right? And as it broke out in spontaneous song, the people were singing, and Miriam and the tambourines, and they were dancing and they were singing. This was a spontaneous spiritual song that just broke out, and they sang and they rejoiced, and then Moshe wrote it down. So he didn't actually write the song. He penned it. He didn't write it, all right? So Haazinu, Yahweh gave him the words, but he said, write this song. So he wrote the song. Then him and Yehoshua was supposed to go and teach it to all the people. Okay, so call whichever you want. You want the Song of Moses, right? We sing the Song of Moses, the servant of God, the Son of the Lamb, saying great and marvelous. Well, they both kind of do that, right? But regardless, this is a song that was written, and there was a purpose to it. What is the purpose? We learn the song is to be a witness. The song is a witness to the people. What does a witness do? A witness does nothing more than testify of the facts, what they have seen firsthand, not hearsay, firsthand experience. Okay? This song is to be a witness. So if we're doing good, the song will testify and witness on behalf of that. If we're not, the song will testify and witness on behalf of that. And the idea of the song is that when we're doing well, it's great and it's glorious. When we're not, when we've turned our backs on Yahweh, the idea of the song is to remind us to come back to him. That we've strayed, return, come back to Yahweh, all right? And we see this as we go back into Deuteronomy 31, as kind of setting up the reason for the song before we get into it. Deuteronomy 31, 19 to 21. Therefore, write this song for yourselves and teach it to the people of Israel. Have them learn it by heart, so this song can be a witness for me against the people of Israel. For when I have brought them into the land I swore to their ancestors, flowing with milk and honey, and they have eaten their fill, grown fat, and turned to other gods, serving them, despised me, broken my covenant. Again, what happens? Well, take a look, verse 21. After many calamities and troubles will come upon them, this song will testify as a witness, because their descendants will be reciting it, and will not have forgotten it. For I know how they think, even before I have brought them into the land about which that I swore. So again, the song is a witness, and because their children are going to be singing it too. See, again, there's something about a song and a melody that can go from generation to generation to generation, right? We have, when you were a kid, you turned on the oldies station, right? And then nowadays you turn on the oldies station to stuff that you used to listen to, right? But the ironic thing, the funny thing, is that there are kids nowadays that are singing songs that are from the oldies station that was when you were a kid. There's something about a song that goes generation to generation to generation. Not every song, but a good song can outlast that generation and move on to generation to generation to generation. That's the idea for the Torah. The Torah is a great song. And if we get it in us, where it comes out as this beautiful symphony that's awe-inspiring, the children are going to learn it, and they're going to teach it to their children, and their children, and their children, right? That's the idea. Because again, there's something about a song that bypasses our thinking and goes to right into your soul, right into part of you, right? Let's look at a couple Psalms here really quick. Psalm 84, 2 and 3. How lovely are your tabernacles, Adonai Tzavaot. My soul yearns, even faints for the courts of Adonai. My heart and my flesh sing for joy to the living God. See that? With all that we are. Psalm 108 verse 2 says, my heart is steadfast, O God, and I will sing praises with all my soul. See that? So it's not just singing with my mouth is what it's saying. No, it says with everything that I am, all of me, with my heart, with my soul, with my very being, I will sing to Yahweh, and I will sing of his goodness. And again, there's something about a song. Before I go through with more scriptures, I want to read something about from an article that kind of helps prove this point a little bit, okay? So bear with me while I go through this, and I've got something I really want to share with you from this article, and then we can go back into some more of the scriptures, all right? So the following is from an article called From Singing to Speaking, okay? It's from Stroke Connection magazine in September-October 2005, okay? So this is from that. It's amazing to see stroke survivors who have lost the ability to speak suddenly produce accurate words when singing familiar songs. This phenomenon was reported by Swedish physician Olaf Dahlin in 1736. Dr. Dahlin described a young man who had lost his ability to talk as a result of brain damage, but who surprised townsfolk by singing hymns in church. Wow. So the acquired language disorder now is called aphasia. It became a subject of clinical study and a target for rehabilitation beginning in the mid-1880s. Since that time, every clinician working with aphasia has seen individuals who can produce words only when singing. Indeed, this observation prompted American neurologist Charles Mills to suggest in 1904 that it might help to play the piano and encourage patients with aphasia to sing well-known songs. Keep going, this is interesting. There appear to be psychological benefits, but singing familiar songs alone doesn't seem to improve the speech of people with aphasia. This is probably because the words that come automatically when singing are intricately linked to the melodies, and they are not easily separated. The spoken word is a different matter. We know the brain has difficulty starting in the middle of highly memorized spoken passages, such as the Pledge of Allegiance. We need a running start to prime the pump of recall. Songs themselves might be used to communicate. I had a patient who struggled to tell his son he wanted to go to a Boston Red Sox game. He finally got his point across by bursting forth with, "Take me out to the ball game," right? So unfortunately, there aren't appropriate songs for every communication need. So it would be better if singing could be used to unblock residual speech abilities. This was the motivation for the aphasia treatment approach known as melodic intonation therapy, which we began to develop in 1972. So what is melodic intonation therapy? We go to Gottfried Schlag, who was a neurology professor at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, and he is a Harvard Medical School in Boston. Okay? So what did he have to say about this? Patients with brain damage that left them unable to speak were still able to sing. Most of the connections between brain areas that control movement and those that control hearing are on the left side of the brain. But there's sort of a corresponding hole on the right side, says Professor Schlag. For some reason, it is not as endowed with these connections. So the left side is used more in speech. If you damage the left side, the right side has trouble fulfilling that role. But as patients learn to put their words to melodies, the crucial connections form on the right side of the brains. Previous brain imaging studies have shown that this singing center is overdeveloped in the brains of professional singers. During the therapy sessions, patients are taught to put their words to simple melodies. Professor Schlag said that after a single session, a patient who was not able to form any intelligible words learned to say the phrase, "I am thirsty," by combining each syllable with a note of a melody. The patients are also encouraged to tap out each syllable with their hands. Professor Schlag said that this seemed to act as an internal pacemaker, I would say like a metronome, which made the therapy even more effective. Music might be an alternative medium to engage parts of the brain that are otherwise not engaged. The late Rabbi Jonathan Sacks of blessed memory, he states this: why call the Torah a song? Because if we are to hand on our faith and way of life to the next generation, it must sing. Torah must be affective, not just cognitive. That's amazing. Torah must be effective, not just cognitive. It must speak to our emotions. As Antonio Damasio showed empirically in Descartes' error, though the reasoning part of the brain is central to what makes us human, it is the limbic system, the seat of the emotions, that leads us to choose this way, not that. If our Torah lacks passion, we will not succeed in passing it on to the future. Music is the effective dimension of communication, the medium through which we express, evoke, and share emotion, precisely because we are creatures of emotion. Music is an essential part of the vocabulary of mankind. Wow. See, again, something about a song that is outlasts just the words. Okay. Something about a song that can outlast some of the memories. And there's something about a song that puts the melody and the words together that can't be separated. Wow. Amazing, right? So let's get into some of this. So Haazinu, witness to covenant. Deuteronomy 19:15 says, a single witness shall not rise up against a person or any offense or sin that he commits. For the word of 2 or 3 witnesses is a case established. Deuteronomy 30 verse 19, I call heaven and earth to witness against you today, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that you and your offspring may live. Now we get to Deuteronomy 32:1. Give ear, O heavens, and I will speak, and let the earth hear the words of my mouth. He's calling heavens and the earth to stand as witnesses, because this song is a witness. So he's calling the heavens and the earth to stand as witnesses. In other words, as long as the heaven and the earth remains, the witnesses still remain. See that? Okay. So if you look at a Torah scroll, it's pretty neat how it's written in the scroll as well, because you have the one column as the scroll is written in the columns. But then when it comes to Haazinu, there's a break. It's written in 2 separate columns, like it's written like it's 2 separate things. In the first column towards the right, it's Haazinu, right? Haazinu Hashemayim, and then in the one to the left, it's Tishmeu. I can't see it, guys. Tishmoa, yeah. Haaretz. So literally, we hear, give ear, heavens, and I will speak, and hear, Shema, O earth, the words of my mouth. Wow. Amazing. It's written as 2 witnesses even within itself, right? Heaven and earth stand as witnesses to our actions, and they will testify for us or against us, right? Isaiah 1:2 says this, hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for the Lord has spoken. Children have I reared and brought up, but they have rebelled against me. So again, we have Shemu, that's Shema, Shemaim, hear, heavens, and Haazinu. That's the same word given for Haazinu, for this give ear. Haazini, Eretz, to listen, earth. Again, the same word, Shema and Haazinu, Haazan and Shema. All these words, both of these words working together again, standing as witnesses to testify. Okay, and this is part of the song. The word for song is shir or shirah, depending, masculine, feminine, both words, right? So shir or shirah. But shir, the root for song, is related to, again, here's something more pretty interesting. It's shasheret. So the word for song, the root for the song, is related to the word for chain or necklace. Same root words. So a song could be like a chain, each link telling a part of a story that in itself may not seem to make sense, but put in context of the whole story, it shows a complete picture, idea, or thought. Like a song, you have a verse, you have a chorus, and a bridge, or you may have a pre-chorus in there, you may have an outro. All of this is all parts of the song. You've pulled that one part off and it seems like an incomplete thought, but when you put the whole song together, it forms this bigger picture, okay? And we can see that. So it's kind of like the same thing here. A song could be a chain where each link in and of itself, okay, I don't get it, but when you put them all together, it makes something, okay? So when we look at our life, we can often see a chain of events, is a terminology we use, that we can follow to find a solution to a problem. In the case of this song, Israel would turn from Yahweh, and this song would cause them to look at their actions and bring them to repentance. We see in Deuteronomy 32, verse 39, it says, "See now that I am he. There are no gods beside me. I bring death and give life. I have wounded, but I will heal, and none can be rescued from my hand." Proverbs 13:24 says, "He who spares the rod hates his son, but he who loves him is diligent with discipline." See that? That's the purpose of this song, to help bring a place of discipline, reminders that if we've walked outside of covenant, to remind us of that, to discipline us, to bring us back. Okay? Hebrews 12:5-8 says, "Have you forgotten the warning addressed to you as sons? My son, do not take lightly the discipline of Adonai, or lose heart when you are corrected by him. Because Adonai disciplines the one he loves, and punishes every son he accepts. It is for discipline that you endure. God is treating you as sons. For what son does a father not discipline? But if you are without discipline, something all have come to share, then you are illegitimate and not sons." See that? Proverbs 3:11-12 says, "My son, never despise Adonai's discipline or dread his correction. For Adonai loves those he reproves, even as a father, the son in whom he delights." Psalm 119, 65-67 says, "You have treated your servant well, Adonai, in keeping with your word. Teach me good judgment and knowledge, because I trust in your mitzvot. Before I was humbled, I used to go astray, but now I observe your word." See that? David's even saying, Lord, you're faithful in the things I would consider good and bad. You know, when I've walked away, you've been faithful to discipline me. You've been faithful to bring me back. And when I've been good, you've been faithful to bless. You know, when I've walked in your ways, you've been faithful to bless. But when I've strayed, he's been faithful to discipline to bring me back into his way. Right? So when I walk upright, it's great. When I walk away, it's still great because he'll still bring me back. But again, that's that learning. That's what David told us, you know. Before I walked my own way, but I was humbled. Now I come back and I keep his word, right? In Revelation, what do we see? Revelation 3:19 says, "Those whom I love, I rebuke and discipline. So be zealous, therefore, and repent." See that? Our zeal for Yahweh should lead us to a place of repentance. Our zeal for Yahweh should not lead us to a place of attacking one another. So again, the song is calling us into a place of unity, learning to dwell together. We're called to receive counsel, understanding, and discern our ways in the midst of all of this. Deuteronomy 32:28-29 says, "For they are a nation void of counsel, and there's no understanding in them. If they were wise, they would understand this. They would discern their latter end." Interesting. It says, if they were wise, in other words, there's no wisdom in them because they're not listening to counsel. Our wisdom is not God's wisdom. We want Yahweh's wisdom. Okay, so we need to listen to his counsel. And he says, if they were wise, they would discern their latter end. Let me put it this way, their last days. To discern is being. Being is the word that's used there. It means to literally to discern, to separate something for the point of discerning something. Deuteronomy 4:26-30 furthers this thought. Again, I call heaven and earth to witness you this day, much like we read in Haazinu, right? That you shall soon utterly perish off the land where you go to the Jordan to possess. You shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall utterly be destroyed. And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations, and you shall be left few in number among the heathen where the Lord shall lead you. And there you shall serve gods, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see nor hear nor eat nor smell. Verse 29. But if from there you shall seek Yahweh your God, you shall find him, if you seek him with all your heart and with all your soul, when you are in tribulation, and all these things come upon you in the latter days, in the last days. If you turn to Yahweh your God and be obedient to his voice. We're talking about restoration. We're talking about people discerning their latter days. In other words, receive his counsel. Like we read in Malachi, it says, so when you're set free, when you go forth like leaping like calves from the stall, don't forget the word of Moshe. Don't forget the Torah of Moshe, my servant, which was given for all Israel. God redeemed you, but not to walk away from his word. He redeemed you so you would walk in his word, in his ways. Hosea 3 verses 4 and 5 It says, for the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king, without a prince, without a sacrifice, and without an image, and without an ephod, and without teraphim. Afterward shall the children of Israel return and seek Yahweh their God and David their king, and they shall fear Yahweh and his goodness in the latter days. Okay, so Deuteronomy 32, verse 46, we read, so he says to them, put in your hearts all the words that I call as witness against you today, that you may command your children to keep and do all the words of this Torah. See that? Put it in your heart, so keep it and do it. For it is not an empty thing for you, because it is your life. By this word you will prolong your days on the land, which you are crossing over the Jordan to possess. Isaiah 30, verses 18 to 21 says, therefore, Yahweh waits to be gracious to you, and therefore he exalts himself to show mercy to you. For Yahweh is a God of justice. Blessed are all those who wait for him. For the people who dwell in Zion and Jerusalem, you shall weep no more. He will surely be gracious to you at the sound of your cry. As soon as he hears it, he answers you. And though the Lord give you bread of adversity and the water of affliction, yet your teacher will not hide himself any more. But your eyes shall see your teacher, and your ears shall hear a word behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it. And when you turn to the right and when you turn to the left. See, we're talking about restoration. We're talking about walking in the word, walking in his ways. We hear his word, we do it. All right. Deuteronomy 4, verses 5 and 6 says, behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as Yahweh my God has commanded me, that you should do so in the land where you go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. When we keep his ways, it is wisdom and understanding. Deuteronomy 10:12. And now, Israel, what does the Lord your God require of you? But to fear Yahweh your God and walk in all his ways, to love him and serve Yahweh your God with all your heart and with all your soul. Micah 6:8, he has shown you, O man, what is good and what Yahweh requires of you, but to do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. Ecclesiastes 12:13 and 14 says, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. After everything is said and done, what is the one thing that matters? Fear God, keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment, with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. The conclusion of everything, put his song in your heart, right? Jeremiah 31 says that he will take your heart and he will write his word on it. He says, this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel in those days. This is the new covenant that he will give to us. He takes his word, writes it on our heart. And when he does, it's joyous. Any wonder why he says, sing to him a new song? Because we now have his words on our heart. We now have we are now equipped to sing a new song unto Yahweh. We now have the means within us to rejoice before him. See, sing to Yahweh a new song, which essentially is his song that has recreated you, his word, and we live for him in that now, okay? So, that's all I have for you today, guys. I pray that this has been a blessing to you. I pray that it has encouraged you, and I pray that it has challenged you, okay? If this has been a blessing to you, then please consider making a donation to help us continue to keep these things moving on, and please share them on whatever avenue that you listen or watch or whatever it may be. Please share them and help get these teachings out there for more to hear. If it's a blessing to you, maybe it'll bless somebody else, right? So help get it out there. So until next time, guys, may you be blessed and may you be a blessing, and shalom.